All right, welcome to your first video to help you through one of your paper activities that you're working on at home. So our first activity of the week, of the semester doing at home is Activity C, and it starts on page 165 of your lab manual. All right, so page 165. All right, so I'm gonna switch to red here, and let's talk about some of the things that you'll be doing with Activity C. So it's all about significant digits and scientific notation. So with question 1, all it wants to know is how many significant digits there are. Okay, so you're going to count the number of sig figs in each of these numbers. Now I'm going to arbitrarily tell you for this whole assignment to disregard trailing zeros without a decimal place. So for example, 6,000 here with no decimal place, treat that as one sig fig. Okay, and that'll be the case for any number with a trailing zero, like this one over here, letter H, that has no decimal place. If it has a decimal place, you want to make sure you count that. Okay, so for our first number, so letter A here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant digits. All of those digits are significant because the zeros in between count. So I'm just going to put a 5 right here. Okay. So that question 1 is pretty straightforward. You're just counting the number of significant digits. So section 2 here, we want to perform the mathematical operation and then round to the significant digits that it should be. Okay, so it has 2 columns here, the unrounded answer and the rounded answer. So for this letter A here, this first problem, when I put this calculation into my calculator, it's going to spit out a number of 1.3774. Okay, now this is an addition problem, so I apply the addition rule, which cares about decimal places. Now my fewest decimal places in the problem is right here, that 0.39. Okay, so I'm going to stop at the second decimal place. I'm going to look one digit to the right to decide whether I round up or not, and I do. And so my rounded answer reflects the correct number of significant digits. So I should have 1.38 as my rounded answer. Okay, so in all of these unrounded answer columns, answers here in this column, you want to show a bunch of digits, okay? Way more than is really necessary. And then in the rounded answer column, you want to show the number reflecting the correct sig figs for that operation. Okay, and if you need to review that, you might want to review that before starting this part of the activity. Now section 3 here, question 3, we're going to write each of the following answers in either scientific notation or standard form. Now here's another example of trailing zeros with no decimal place. So I'm going to consider those trailing zeros insignificant because there's no decimal place, okay? So if I'm going to write this number in correct scientific notation, I'm going to keep all the digits until I get to those zeros. So I'm going to write this as 8.7602 times 10 to the 6. Okay, because I still move 6 places to get there, but I'm not going to write down those last 2 zeros. Okay, I write down all the rest of the digits, but not those zeros. Okay, and the rest of these, you just convert to either scientific or standard, depending on what it is. Now you want to make sure that you keep all of the digits, right? Because all of these digits in the coefficients are significant. Okay, these are significant. Those are significant, those are significant, those are significant. Okay, so the significant digits have to be shown in your answer. Okay? Now when we move on to the back page, so section 4 here is going to ask you whether these answers, whether these values are written correctly based on the numbers they start with. Okay? So you're going to look at your starting number. For example, this 0.00120, and determine whether this is the correct representation of that answer. Okay, if it's not, in this case it isn't, I'm going to say incorrect, and I'm going to write the number correctly. So in this first number, the 1, the 2, and the 0 at the end there are all significant, so they should all be shown in the correct answer. So I'm going to say 1.20 times 10 to the minus 3 here. Okay, in the case where the answer is correct, all you have to do is mark it correct, and that's all. You don't have to write anything in the corrected column. Okay. All right, now our final section here is very much the same as section 3, where we're going to perform our mathematical operation, and we're going to write the complete unrounded answer, the big long digit number that we get from the calculator, and then we're going to show the number to the correct sig figs. Okay, and here again, anytime you have trailing zeros with no decimal place, like here 650, that trailing zero doesn't count. This number, those trailing zeros don't count. Count those to just the significant digits. So with this question, this part A, I'm going to count that number as 2 sig figs. Right? With 50200, the next one, I'm going to count that as 3 sig figs. Okay, a number like this one that has a decimal place and the 0 does count. Okay, so only the places where you have trailing zeros and no decimal place do you need to worry about any of the problems. Right, so for this first problem A, I'm going to perform this operation 650 times 9.060 times 10 to the third, and I'm going to get a number that is the big long number. That's what the calculator gives me. Okay, now it's a multiplication problem, and we decided that this number right here has 2 sig figs, so I'm going to write this number in scientific notation showing 2 significant digits. Okay, so again, your unrounded answer column should have big long numbers. Your rounded answer column should have numbers to the correct number of sig figs, depending on your operation. And that does it for Activity C. I hope this video proves helpful to you as you work on the problem. Now, just as a reminder, this is all going to be submitted online, okay? And your due date is next Monday. I believe next Monday is the 8th, okay? If you are in section 44. Okay, but anytime we have an at-home activity or an in-person activity, your assignment will be due in 1 week, okay? So you should submit it the night before your next lab meeting. Okay, whether it's virtual or in person. Now let's talk about that submitting of the assignment real quick. Okay, so if we go to our home page and we go to assignments, you'll see either the first or second thing up there should be Activity C. If you click into Activity C, and you see up here in the right-hand corner it says Submit Assignment. So click there, and you'll be given the opportunity here to choose a file. Now I want to point out that it says here in the instructions, upload a single PDF for images of your written work. Okay, and if you're not sure how to do that, if we go to Home, in the Start Here section, you'll see Learn how to submit handwritten work in Canvas, number 4 right here. Okay, and this will give you information on how to submit your handwritten work, how to combine your multiple images into a single PDF. Okay. Multiple documents will not be accepted, and only PDF formats will be accepted. Okay, that's important. Okay, we will see you next time you're in lab, and keep a lookout for these videos. Have a good day.